My boss, my fiancé, my secret. It began like a reckless impulse, a night fueled by raw emotion, silence too loud to ignore, and an emptiness that clawed at her soul. She had just wanted to feel something. Anything. The office lights had long gone dim, the chill of midnight lingering in the air as her fingers brushed against his. He was her boss, powerful, cold-eyed, mysterious, but that night behind the closed door of his luxury penthouse, all rules faded. The world dissolved. His lips were hungry, his hands desperate, as if he had waited years for that moment. She didn't ask questions, didn't search for logic. All she knew was that something about his touch felt painfully familiar, like home buried beneath years of secrets. Morning sunlight shattered the illusion. He was already dressed when she stirred from sleep, staring out over the city skyline as if guarding 1,000 regrets. When their eyes met, something flickered, pain, relief, confused her. But he simply offered coffee, a slight nod, and silence that spoke more than words. No sweet goodbyes, no promises, just distance. Back at work, things shifted. He avoided eye contact, his commands short, clipped, professional. She hated how much it hurt. Had she misread the connection? Was it just a one-night transaction for him? Guilt gnawed at her as the days passed. The air between them was thick with unspoken tension, yet behind closed doors, his gaze sometimes lingered, haunted. She began questioning everything. Her worth, her heart, her ability to separate love from desire. Then came the letter. Handwritten. Slipped into her locker without a name. You're more than just a fleeting night. I've watched you for years, loved you from shadows. Forgive me for hiding in plain sight. Tears welled in her eyes. The handwriting was familiar. Too familiar. The shock twisted in her chest like a blade. It was him. Had to be. But why hide behind anonymity? Why that night, that silence, that emotional distance afterward? Before she could confront him, her world spiraled. Her parents arranged a meeting with a man they had chosen as her fiancé. Someone from a well-reputed family, someone they believed perfect. She resisted at first, her heart still bruised from the night that refused to leave her memory. But when she saw the photo, her heart stopped cold. It was him. Her boss. The same man she had given herself to just weeks ago. He looked back at her with that same unreadable gaze in the photo her mother held. How? Why? Shock twisted into anger. He had known. He had known all along who she was, what their families had planned, and still, he pretended she was just another employee. Another woman. Just a passing flame. When she confronted him, he didn't deny it. I didn't want you to love me because you had to, he said quietly. I wanted you to love me freely. Without obligation, without arrangement. I wanted to know if you'd still choose me. Her knees weakened beneath the weight of his confession. Years of loving her from afar. Choosing to be her boss. Watching her struggle, fight, survive. Wanting her to find him on her own. You played with me, she whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. You knew I was broken. You knew I was vulnerable that night. I also knew, he replied, voice trembling, that you'd walk away from the arrangement if you knew it was me. She did. She had always said she didn't believe in arranged love. And he feared her rejection more than anything else. But her heart was a battlefield. She hated him. She loved him. She didn't know which feeling was stronger. Just when she thought nothing could twist deeper, she received a message from an unknown number. He's not who you think he is. Ask him about Paris. Ask him about the woman he left behind. A wave of nausea crashed over her. Paris. What woman? Confused, betrayed, and terrified, she began digging into his past. What she uncovered shattered her heart into dust. Years ago in Paris, he had been engaged. She died. Or so the papers said. But whispers told another tale. A woman who vanished. A scandal buried. A love lost under mysterious circumstances. Was that what had scarred him? Or had he hidden something even darker? Now every moment with him felt like a lie. Was she a replacement? second chance, or just another pawn in his twisted love story. Still, when he touched her, her skin remembered. Her heart ached. And when he looked at her like she was his universe, it felt too real to be false. She stood torn between the man who ignited her soul and the secrets that could destroy everything. The engagement party was days away. Her parents beamed with pride. He acted like the perfect gentleman. But her smile was fake. Her hands trembled under the weight of decisions. She needed answers. And she needed them now. In the final hours before the party, she made a choice. She confronted an old colleague of his, someone who had worked with him during those years in Paris. The truth spilled out like poisoned wine. There was a woman. She was pregnant. And she disappeared the night she was supposed to meet him for dinner. No trace. No body. Just blood in the alley. He had been questioned. Released. No charges ever filed. But the whispers never stopped. Now her heart beat like thunder. What if she was next? What if love wasn't enough to blind the danger? But what if he truly was just a broken man trying to love again? As she stood before the mirror, dressed in the engagement gown her mother chose, a question burned through her soul. Was she walking into love? Or into a trap? Her heart pounded as she turned the doorknob to face him one last time before the party. His eyes met hers. Heavy. And he said only one thing. There's something I need to confess, but I'm afraid once you hear it, you'll never look at me the same again. She froze. She didn't breathe for a full second after he said it. That one sentence shattered everything calm inside her. Her mind screamed for her to run, but her feet remained frozen. The air between them thickened, weighed down by the gravity of what was coming. His eyes weren't cold anymore, they were begging, vulnerable, as if the truth was a monster he'd kept caged for too long and was finally ready to set free. He sat on the edge of the bed, shoulders hunched, fingers trembling slightly. She didn't just disappear, he said, voice cracking like old glass. She ran. And I helped her. Her heart dropped. He wasn't accused of murder. She wasn't safe. She was being watched by her own family. They wanted to force her to terminate the baby. She begged me to fake her disappearance, to make the world believe she was dead. I helped her escape Paris. I sent her away. I've never seen her since. He looked up slowly, pain bleeding from every word. But I was blamed. Not publicly. But behind closed doors I was judged, tailed, threatened. I left the country after that. Changed everything. Started over. That's when I saw you. And everything I'd buried came alive again. She felt her throat tighten. So he wasn't a murderer. But he had buried a past so heavy, so terrifying, that even now it threatened to consume them both. You should have told me, she whispered, stepping back. You should have trusted me with the truth. He stood too, slowly, his eyes glistening. Would you have stayed? She didn't answer. She didn't know. She didn't trust herself anymore. She left the room without looking back, her heart thudding so loud she feared others might hear it. Her engagement gown now felt like a costume, her life a lie. But what followed was something she never expected. That same unknown number messaged again. He's lying. Meet me. I'll prove it. She hesitated. Could be dangerous. But something about this whole situation had already turned her life upside down. She had to know the truth. She arrived at the address in a quiet corner of the city. It was a woman, early 30s, tired eyes, anxious demeanor. She introduced herself simply and handed over a folder. Inside were photos, passports, documents, all confirming the story. The woman in Paris, she was alive, married now, with a child, and grateful. He saved my life, the woman in front of her whispered. He took the blame. Protected me from people who would have killed me. He's not who the world thinks. But he's also not who you think either. What do you mean? She asked, voice barely audible. He's in danger. People still want him silenced. If you marry him, they'll come for you too. Her world spun again. So many questions. So many shadows. She went home, locked herself in, and cried until the sun came up. She wanted love, not chaos. She wanted passion, not war. But deep down she knew she loved him. Maybe she always had. Maybe that's why her body betrayed her the first night. Why her heart skipped when he walked in a room. Why she couldn't breathe when he looked at her like he did. But love came with a cost. And she wasn't sure if she could pay it. The next day, she met him at a secluded cabin by the lake. Away from the noise, the family, the pressure. She walked in, looked him in the eyes and said, "I believe you. But I need to know, if I walk into this with you, will I ever be safe again?" He closed the gap between them slowly. "No," he whispered. "But you'll be loved like no woman ever has." Her tears spilled again. And just when she nodded, just when they held each other like the world was finally quiet, the gunshot shattered the silence. Glass exploded. A scream escaped her throat as he pulled her to the floor. Another shot. And another. He shielded her with his body, blood seeping from his arm. "They found me," he said, gritting his teeth. "I thought we had more time." She crawled to the phone and dialed. "Backup. Police. Anyone." The cabin door burst open moments later. Not enemies, but his old security team, loyal friends from years ago. He had planned for this. They were safe. For now. He was rushed to a hospital. She sat by his side for days, refusing to leave even when he was unconscious. Her parents objected. Her world criticized. But she stayed. When he woke up, his first words were, "Did I lose you?" She smiled through her tears. "No. You found me." Weeks passed. He recovered. Their story went public. The media twisted it in every way. But they stayed strong. Against all odds, all fears, all threats. And then, on a quiet morning with rain tapping against the windows, he slipped a ring onto her finger. Not out of obligation, not because of family or guilt, but because love after everything had survived. But just when everything seemed perfect, just when she thought the past was behind them, she received a final envelope. No return address. Inside was a single ultrasound image. Dated just 3 weeks ago. Her blood ran cold. And a note. "You're not the only one who loved him." Her hands shook. Was it real? Was there someone else? Or was this just another game? She stared out the window, heart sinking as a storm rolled in. And just then, her phone lit up with a message from his number. "We need to talk. It's about the baby."